Good morning. Today we're going to talk about how do we stop the habit of excessively overthinking everything. And this talk was inspired by Eckhart Tolle and some of the works he's done around the power of now and being present in this moment. But I'm going to share with you today is a spiritualist perspective on how to stop overthinking, how to get in the moment, be here now, and open the spiritual eyes of your soul so that you can see exactly what your next step should be and how to get where you want to go. The first thing to remember is that your mind is like a 3-year-old child that is not disciplined at all. It does whatever it wants to do. It'll say no. It'll say, you can't make me. It will kick and scream and resist any attempt to control it. But there is a solution. There is an answer that will allow you to become master of your own vessel and be in control of your thoughts and thinking so that you can see things as they really are. Pick and choose your next best step, and then take that step. Welcome to Spirit 360 Fellowship. We are an online spiritualist church where old souls and kindred spirits connect so that they can discover who they are, why they're here, and where they're going. The best way to think about your mind and your overthinking is imagine a Gordian knot. And if you don't remember, the Gordian knot was a knot that was unable to be untied or untangled. And Alexander the Great was presented with this problem, that if he was able to undo this knot without cutting it, that he would be the ruler of Asia. He got the knot untangled. Some say he cut it, but that isn't the truth. He got it untangled. He found the two ends and then became the person to conquer all of Asia. Inside of your mind, specifically your subconscious mind, every thought, every action, every experience you had from the time you were born until you were probably 23 or 24 created your map of the world. Some of it makes perfect sense to you, but a lot of it, if you try to explain it to someone else, it becomes that Gordian knot. Because what works for you doesn't necessarily work for anyone else, because you are uniquely you. Today, what we're going to look at is how do we stop excessively overthinking everything by helping you find the two ends of this rope and untangle the Gordian knot of your mind, thus allowing you to become the ruler of your own life, master of your own dominion, and experience life that you incarnated to experience. Find your purpose, stay the course, become happy, and start thriving. The first step in this is very simple, and this is the problem that most people have with spiritualism when you take away all the dogma of religion. And that problem is the solutions are way too simple. And just like the Gordian knot appears very complicated, if you try to figure it out and solve it with all your education, your training, and your real world experience, you won't understand it. It's only when you allow yourself to step back from what you think is going on, to see what is really going on, to hear your intuition, will you be able to see the two ends that if you pull them will allow the knot to untangle. Now, what are those two ends? Those two ends are simply, you've got one end called your instinct to survive. And we all are born with that instinct thriving. You come out, you get a smack on the butt, you start to scream. Shortly after that, you're hungry, so you scream some more. In fact, you're just a screaming little creature who sleeps and eats and poos for quite a while. And you've learned how to get what you want by being able to scream. You learn that screaming from your intuition. But very quickly, the environment around you trains you exactly what you had to do to get what you want. So between the time you were born and the time you're 2, 3, maybe 4 years old, you figure out life in the dynamics of wherever you were raised. And you understand how to get what you want in that system, in that environment, in that tribe. But then you go to preschool. And what worked at home doesn't necessarily work in preschool. So you have to come up with a new set of rules. Now, some of those rules conflict with what happens at home. So you start to mix them all up, and you get this tangled mess of thoughts and actions and attitudes and behaviors. And over time, as this happens time after time after time, your first love, your first experience of playing sports, your first failures, your first tragic accident where you fall down and it hurts really bad. Life starts to lifing, but you have this instinct to survive. Some of us have been allowed to experience our intuition from a very young age. Some of us, it was not safe to be intuitive, to know things you're not supposed to know. But by holding the end of the thread called instinct and knowing that you're hardwired to survive and allowing yourself to find your intuition and allowing them to be completely separate in your awareness, what will happen is that knot will start to untangle, because you'll start to separate your thoughts for instinct and survival from your thoughts from intuition and inner knowing. Fortunately, the process to do this is quite simple, yet not at all easy. This is an excerpt from the course I have called Spiritualism Made Simple that trains you how to start training your brain to be quiet and still, so you can separate that hardwired instinctual thought from your soft skill of intuition. In addition, it allows you to start conditioning your mind so that you can think about what you want to think about. Take complete control of the 3-year-old and show the 3-year-old the skills that will work to bring about what you want by seeing things as they really are. If you're new here, consider subscribing to our channel and hit the little bell so you'll be notified when we put out new videos, typically on Sunday and Wednesday. Also, take a moment and write your questions to me down in the comments so we can have a dialogue, so I can help you start learning how to control and train your mind to be your champion instead of your worst enemy. The 3-step process that will allow you to start controlling your mind and having it be your servant rather than you its servant is called the 3 R's. The 3 R's, right meditation, right thought, right action. Again, right meditation for us is stillness, complete absence of thought. And think of stillness as intermittent fasting for your brain. It allows you to disconnect all thinking processes, so your mind will start to calm down and relax. Because your brain is quiet, your mind acts in kind. We precede stillness with concentration or extreme focus on one thought. And that's where we strengthen our brain's ability to focus and do what we want it to do. After we get that extreme focus, where our brain starts to do what we want it to do, we let go of that one thought and we'll drift down to no thoughts. And in that space of stillness, there's silence. And as the old wives' tales say, silence is golden. They say that because once you allow yourself to sit in silence, to be still, you can clearly see your next steps on the path to where you want to go, as long as you know where you want to go. And that's the first step into truly mastering your brain and then conditioning your mind so it doesn't incessantly overthink things. is to understand exactly where you want to go next. For most of us, we're like a ship just following the current of wherever it's going. We wake up in the morning, we get our phones, we get distracted by the latest news and the chaos of the world. And we never consciously choose what we want to experience and do today, much less our entire life. So allowing yourself to quiet and still your mind in right meditation, so you really experience silence, opens the door to something else. And that something else is called right thought. Right thought. Now, thinking is not thought. Thinking is the process of problem solving. It's education. It's finding the right answer. You think through problems. You try to solve problems. You try to come up with answers. A thought, on the other hand, is a discrete experience that allows you to create the context for what it is you want to bring about. So you're driving in the car and a song comes up from your high school. And then you remember the argument you had with whoever you broke up with right after the prom. And your mind starts to run down memory's lane of the argument and everything you woulda, shoulda, coulda done. That's thinking. That's not within your control. Allowing yourself to truly see who you are, why you're here, and where you're going in the moment allows you to hear that song and the thought of the person you are now and the life you're choosing to create and live begins to allow you to not have that overthinking of the past arguments, the past disagreements, and all the woulda, shouldas, and couldas in life. It allows you to say, yeah, I have empathy and compassion for that person I used to be. I understand why that happened. And now I'm going here. I'm going to accomplish this. This is what I'm up to. This is who I am. Then allowing yourself to truly own and understand and love the person you are allows you to do the next thing. Understand why you're here. Because once you understand why you're here, then the context of where you're going makes complete sense. And you have these series of thoughts about your health, about your wealth, about your career, about your relationships, about your spiritual growth and development that make perfect sense because you've got this quiet space of thinking tranquility opened up by stillness meditation. But more importantly, you allow yourself to step back from any thought that doesn't serve you and the course you've set for yourself. It's in that moment of catching yourself, not overthinking that argument from high school, that you realize a 3-year-old is no longer throwing tantrums and controlling your life, but that spiritual self, that authentic part of you who always knows its next best step and where it will take them, is running the show. You find happiness. You find peace. You realize most of the time in hindsight that you're in control of your life. Now, we can't control the world. And that's where most people have their overthinking and where this Gordian knot comes into play. Because we have a set of experiences, we have a set of skills, and we have a set of practices, all of which are trying to control and manipulate everything outside. And if you look at a 3-year-old who's screaming, one sure way to get them to stop screaming is to give them what they want, which creates the illusion or the belief that what they do controls their world. And it worked perfectly for some parents and siblings and aunts and uncles and tribes. But when you get out into the real world, throwing tantrums and fits rarely work. And there are consequences for doing that. As we begin to separate our instinct to survive from our intuition for what we know we want to do, we begin to untangle this Gordian knot. We stop trying to overthink how do we get what we want by controlling the world, and we step inside realizing that the way to get what we want is only by our control of ourselves, our minds and our thinking. Accepting things as they are and as they are not. Then stepping into the future that we created in our mind's eye first, and then by our actions to take us there, step by step by step. To wrap things up, the way to stop the habit of excessively overthinking everything is to train your mind. Start to condition it first by stilling your brain through meditation. Then we're learning to remain in that place of silence. And remember, silence is golden. So you stay in this golden place. See things as they really are. Understand who you are, why you're here, and where you're going. Make an actionable decision. Then take that step. Take that action. All taking you towards where you want to go, within the context of why you want to go there. Absolutely knowing and loving the person who you are. That's what all the great masters taught in some way, shape, or form. Then you repeat that for each area of your life until you've found your purpose. You've learned to stay the course and create yourself a happy, thriving life. Very simple, yet not at all easy. My highest blessings.